Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The air inside the Young and the Restless on that cold February morning felt heavy, like Genoa City itself was holding its breath. At Crimson Lights, the familiar hum of espresso machines and quiet chatter clashed with the unmistakable tension radiating from one small corner table. Mariah Copeland sat there, pale and exhausted, her ankle monitor hidden beneath the cuff of her jeans but weighing on her like a prison chain. She was out on bail, free, but not really. Across from her, Sharon Newman watched her daughter with a mixture of fear, heartbreak, and fierce maternal protection. Sharon had been through hell because of Ian Ward. She knew what trauma did to a mind already scarred. And as she looked at Mariah now, she didn't see a kidnapper. She saw a wounded child who had never fully escaped her past. Blair Romalotti sat beside them, legal pad in hand but compassion in her eyes. She wasn't just a district attorney, she was a mother, a wife, a woman who understood what desperation could do. "You cannot change your plea," Christine said firmly, breaking the silence. Mariah's eyes were red from crying. I'm guilty." "No," Sharon cut in gently, "you're sick, there's a difference." Mariah shook her head. "I took Dominic, I took him from his mother, from his home, I terrified everyone." Her voice cracked. "What kind of person does that?" Christine leaned forward, a person who had a psychotic break triggered by trauma. The name hung in the air before Mariah even said it. "Ian Ward." Mariah swallowed hard. "I saw him, I know he's dead, I know that, but the man at the clinic, he looked just like him," and it was like everything snapped. She explained how she became convinced that evil was circling her family again, how she thought she had to stop it, how she almost believed she had to kill the man who resembled Ian, but she didn't. Instead, she spiraled. She checked herself into that Boston clinic, thinking she could fix herself quietly. Instead, the isolation and fear made things worse. Ian's voice started whispering in her head, telling her Dominic wasn't safe, that Abby couldn't protect him, that only she could. "I thought I was saving him," Mariah whispered, "from something only I could see." Sharon's eyes filled. She reached across the table and grabbed her daughter's trembling hands. "You were reliving your trauma," Sharon said, "and you didn't get the right treatment." Christine nodded slowly. "This isn't a case for prison, this is a case for psychiatric care. An insanity defense isn't about escaping responsibility, it's about acknowledging reality." Mariah stared down at the ankle monitor. Reality is I destroyed Abby's world. And that reality was about to collide head-on with another. At the Chancellor mansion, the mood couldn't have been more different. Dominic Winters was safe, that should have brought peace. But peace was what Abby Winters felt. She stood near the fireplace, arms crossed tightly over her chest, rage simmering beneath the surface. For days she had been frantic, search parties, police updates, sleepless nights imagining the worst. Now her son was home. And now she had room to feel the fury. Devon Winters watched her carefully. He understood the anger, he felt it too, but his was tempered with something else, perspective. "The judge will decide where Mariah goes," Devon said quietly, "prison or a facility." "And what if the judge gets it wrong?" Abby snapped. "What if she walks free?" Devon hesitated. "She's not walking free, she's wearing an ankle monitor, she's under supervision." "She kidnapped our son." Her voice echoed through the grand living room. The walls had seen generations of power struggles, betrayals, and scandals, but this felt different, this felt deeply personal. The doorbell rang. Abby froze. Devon glanced toward the foyer. That might be Sharon. Abby's stomach dropped. Why would she bring her here? But she already knew. Because Mariah wanted forgiveness. Back at Crimson Lights, Tessa Porter walked in and immediately spotted Mariah. Her breath caught. She hadn't prepared herself for this. Tessa had just come from the mansion where she'd checked on Dominic. He seemed okay, confused maybe, but physically unharmed. That was a blessing. But the emotional damage, that was another story. Tessa approached slowly. Mariah stood up awkwardly, as if unsure whether she deserved to. "How Dom?" Mariah asked. "He's okay," Tessa replied softly, "all things considered." Silence stretched between them. Mariah searched her wife's face. Did he do what I asked?" Tessa stiffened slightly. "He's been supportive." That wasn't a lie. Mariah had begged Daniel Romalotti Jr. to watch over Tessa to make sure she wasn't alone because Mariah believed she was spiraling even before she left town. But what Mariah didn't realize was how much Daniel had stepped in emotionally. "And the divorce papers?" Mariah asked quietly. "Sharon said you filed." Tessa's eyes flashed with frustration. "You disappeared, Mariah. You shut me out. You pushed me away every time I tried to help you." "I was protecting you." "From what? Yourself?" Mariah's silence was answer enough. Tears filled Tessa's eyes. "You don't get to decide what I need. You don't get to push me away and call it love." Mariah's face crumpled. "I don't deserve you." "Stop doing that," Tessa burst out. "Stop deciding what I deserve." The pain between them was unbearable. Tessa shook her head, unable to take another second. She turned and walked out before her emotions consumed her. Mariah watched her go, feeling like she had just lost her all over again. At the athletic club, Daniel Romalotti Jr. paced nervously. He felt guilty for even acknowledging his feelings. There was too much chaos already. Dominic's kidnapping, Abby's fury, Mariah's breakdown. His feelings didn't matter. At least that's what he kept telling himself. Danny Romalotti, ever the supportive father, studied his son. "You care about her." Daniel sighed. "It's complicated." "Love usually is." Daniel ran a hand through his hair. "She's married, and her wife just kidnapped a baby." Danny winced. "You can't control how you feel, you can control what you do about it." Before Daniel could respond, his phone buzzed. "Tessa." He didn't hesitate. When he found her outside the club, she was crying. Without a word, he pulled her into his arms. She didn't resist. "I don't know what to do," Tessa whispered. "I'm here," Daniel said softly. "We'll figure it out." And for a moment, the world narrowed down to just the two of them. Back at the Chancellor mansion, the door opened. Sharon stepped inside first. Mariah followed. Abby saw red. "What is she doing here?" Abby demanded. Dominic was upstairs, safe, but the mere presence of the woman who had taken him made Abby's skin crawl. "I needed to apologize," Mariah said, voice shaking. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I needed to say I'm sorry." Abby let out a bitter laugh. "Sorry. I was sick." "You were selfish," Abby shouted. "You stole my child." Mariah flinched. Devon stepped forward cautiously. "Let her speak." "No," Abby snapped. "She doesn't get to stand in my house and explain away what she did." Mariah's tears fell freely now. "I know what I did was wrong. I know I hurt you. I hurt Dominic. I would never." "You did." The word cut like a blade. Abby pointed toward the door. "Get out, and don't ever come near my son again." Mariah's heart shattered. "Abby," Sharon tried gently. "No," Abby said firmly. "She is banned from Dominic, from this house, from our lives." The finality in her voice left no room for argument. Mariah nodded slowly, accepting the punishment. "I understand," she whispered. And with that, she turned and walked out. Outside, the winter air hit Mariah like a slap. The mansion doors closed behind her with a thud that felt symbolic, like an entire chapter of her life had just been sealed off. Sharon wrapped an arm around her daughter. "We'll get through this." But Mariah wasn't so sure. Inside, Abby collapsed onto the sofa, trembling with adrenaline and grief. Devon sat beside her. "He's safe." "That doesn't erase what happened," Abby whispered. "Every time I close my eyes, I see an empty crib." Devon held her hand tightly. "We'll protect him." But the truth was, the scars would linger. Meanwhile, Tessa pulled away from Daniel slightly, guilt flickering across her face. "I shouldn't be here," she said. "You're hurting," Daniel replied. "That's all that matters right now." Tessa looked up at him, conflicted. Because what she felt wasn't just comfort. It was something deeper. And that terrified her. At Crimson Lights later that night, Sharon and Christine met privately. "She needs serious treatment," Christine said. "We'll push for a psychiatric evaluation immediately." Sharon nodded. "I won't let her go to prison." "She won't," Christine assured her, "but Abby will fight." And Abby had every reason to. The battle ahead wouldn't just be legal. It would be emotional. It would divide families. It would test marriages. It would redefine loyalties. Back at the mansion, Abby stood in Dominic's nursery watching him sleep. Her son, her miracles, her heart. She brushed a gentle hand over his hair. "I'll protect you," she whispered, "from anyone. Even someone who once felt like family." Across town, Mariah sat alone in Sharon's living room, staring at the blinking light on her ankle monitor. A symbol of freedom. A symbol of shame. She closed her eyes and saw Ian's face. Then Dominic's. Then Abby's fury. "I'll get help," she whispered into the silence. "I'll become someone worthy of forgiveness." But forgiveness wasn't promised. In Genoa City, actions had consequences. And some wounds didn't heal easily. As the city lights flickered against the cold February sky, one thing was certain. Mariah Copeland had lost everything. And the road back would be long, painful, and uncertain. But in true Genoa City fashion, the story was far from over.